Now, I got to tell you the truth. Beach Road has always kind of scared me. I've heard so many things about it, about pickpockets and jewelry being stolen. I've even seen a video clip of a lady boy chasing a tourist with her high heel in her hand, trying to hit him in the head. And I've just always kind of stayed away. Plus, I've heard a lot of things about the ladies don't really. Let's put it this way: you may shake their hand, but you always want to wear a rubber glove because they don't wash their hands after uh, going to the bathroom. It's a YouTube way of saying it. Most of you will recognize that this is Soy 6. Soy 6 is synonymous with bar girls. They have more bar girls out in the streets and in the bars than any other soy in Pattaya. Beach Road has that same reputation except for freelancers. Freelancers are basically what the name implies. They don't have an affiliation with a bar, they don't have an affiliation with a business. They're basically their own bosses. Now, when you go down a street like this, if you're a married man, which I'm not, but if you are a married man, I'm sure you start to question your life's decisions. This last trip, I was there for a month, and I stayed right on Beach Road, and it's like I want to see for myself if that's true. And so I spent a lot of time, both daylight and evening, out on Beach Road talking to people. I spent a lot of time in the local bars because, as you know, the two sides of the Beach Road, one side is the beach side where all the ladies walk, and the other side is the business side where the bars, the malls, all of that are. The first thing with the bars, I really enjoyed them. They were right on the street. They had seating right there to where you could just sit and have your beer and people watch. And you had a beautiful ocean as the background. It was like perfect. And a lot of the local little bars are very friend friendly, you might say. I had more than one server say, well, if you see a lady you'd like to talk to and make friends with from across the street, just let me know and I'll call her over so she can have a drink with you. And it's like, wow, that's service. But the only thing I can say was irritating about the bars are the street peddlers. When I would sit in the bars, not that I stayed there like days on end, but when I would go in, have lunch, have a beer or two, I would have, like, every 5 minutes there would be another street peddler coming in to try to sell me cigarettes or a watch or Viagra or whatever. And it gets old because it's constant. So that would be my only way to improve that situation. Thailand is an interesting place when it comes to how territorial women can be when they're interested in a man. And this isn't just if you're dating someone, this is with working girls too. If they have a bar girl has sat down and had drinks with you, you bar find her, don't go back to the same bar and talk to somebody else. If you go back to the same bar, you're kind of obligated to talk to her because they have a thing called saving face, and everyone's heard about it. But in Thai culture, it's huge. You go in and talk to another lady after you bar find one girl, they lose face. Everyone asks them, why did he do that? I never realized how strong that was. In 2025, I was in Thailand twice. I went in February. I came back again in September. And one of the lounges I like going into in February is towards the end of my trip. The last day I was in Pattaya, I went in and I sat with the young lady a couple hours, talked to her. She's a nice lady. I enjoyed her conversation, but I had to get up and go to Bangkok the next day and head home. I never had a chance to go back in and see her. So it was one time I went in and had a drink with her. And when I came back in in September, I thought it's been so long, and it was one time. I don't have to worry about anyone thinking I have to sit with her again. I can sit with anyone I want. I walked in the bar, and 4 or 5 of the bar girls pointed at me and said her name, and basically I was hers or I was with her or whatever. So it's like, how in the world, 2 hours, 7, 8 months ago, how in the world can you remember that? But it happens. So always do that. If you date a young lady in a bar, then don't go in that same bar if you're not going to date her. The problem on Beach Road is, especially when you're staying on Beach Road, you date a lady and you never know when you're going to run into her. I think it was Trevor from Buzz and Pattaya on one of his episodes of his channel. He was talking about that most men, when they first, they check into their hotel, and the first thing they do is they head to the closest bar, and then they meet a lady, bar find her, whatever. And then for the rest of the trip, they have to walk by that bar. So if a lady comes with them back to their hotel, or they date another lady, that person's going to see them, and they're going to hear about it. And even though I realize that's a good idea, it's like date in outward areas to the beginning of your stay, and then if the last night or the last 2 nights you meet somebody close to your hotel, it's fine. But the first night when I checked into my hotel this last trip, I was I got bored and I was kind of not having anything to do, so I went to one of the local bars. I met a lady and things happened, and so I was thinking, yeah, it was dumb. The bar was like 2 doors down to the left of my hotel. And so then, like 2 days later, I did the same thing, but 3 doors down on the right side. So no matter where I went, because it's not just the lady that you date who will be watching you and looking for you and things. It's also her friends, because they all are just really possessive, and they look out for friends of friends. And every time I went out, if I walked to the mall, I would go drop off my laundry, whatever, I would hear, if I went to the right, I would hear from that lady, well, what were you doing today? Were you out looking for another woman? And it's like, I went to the mall for lunch and shopping, and I dropped off my laundry. It's like, you went for lunch, why didn't you stop by and get me? So be prepared for that. If you're going to date someone, date them away from your hotel, because it is. I mean, one day I had met a lady and we were taking a stroll down Beach Road to go to the mall, and I found myself, when I went in front of the one bar and the one business that I had dated other ladies in, I had borrowed this goofy, like pale yellow, I think it was pale yellow, pale pink umbrella, because it was on and off raining, from the hotel. And it was just a goofy looking umbrella, and I was hiding underneath it when we went by these places so I wouldn't be seen. It's like, that's embarrassing. It's like, just don't do that. It's a good idea. Date somebody away from your hotel. The difference between daytime and nighttime. During the day, I found, as I talked to some of the ladies, that they were a little more professional. They were, like I said, ex-business people. They were, they worked at whatever, for anything from 7-Eleven to a bank, and lost their jobs and were using Beach Road to supplement their income. They were easier to talk to. They seemed a little, I don't know, more mainstream in the way that they interacted with you. Um, that's on the business side. Beach side tends to be, like I said, the ladies that do this for their living and always have, or at least for a long time. The other thing that I saw was at night you had a lot more people, but you also started seeing more of the issues that you'd heard about. You see people who have had too much to drink. You see people that are high. There are always the ladies that stand alone, and then there's always the ladies that stand kind of in packs or in gangs. And typically, I mean, for me, I would avoid the one, talking to anybody or having much to do with the ones in gangs. That's usually where problems come from. When people have a lot of time on their hands and they talk amongst each other, bad ideas can come. But all in all, the people were very nice. I didn't have any troubles with anyone. I think one of the biggest problems that people have is alcohol, because almost every person you read about who got robbed, who had a problem with one of the ladies out there, one of the lady boys, they were all like shit faced drunk, and or at least in that direction. And it's never a good idea. If you have too much to drink, you're in a bar, you have too much to drink, get a cab, have them take you right to your hotel, and go home. When you walk down the street, and especially a place like Beach Road, where you have all kinds of different people, you have good people that are just trying to earn a dollar, and you have other people that are looking for an easy way to earn a dollar. So, if you're drunk, take a taxi home, go to your room, and sleep it off. Men have such a problem making up their mind when they have many choices. And a lot of the men, I was out with a buddy of mine who did the same thing. He met a lady that he was very impressed with. He thought she was beautiful. They talked, they got along really well, and he was really impressed. But did he, continue and finalize everything? No. He went walking on down, Beach Road, looking and talking to the people. And finally, he got to the end of Beach Road, and he hadn't found anybody that impressed him as much as the girl he first talked to. So he walked all the way back down. By that time, she'd gone or with somebody else. And so many men do that. They waste so much time and so much energy looking for something better. Whether it's in a bar or Beach Road, if you meet somebody that you really like and are really impressed with, act upon it. Same way with meeting, if you're dating. If you meet somebody that really interests you and you can see yourself dating, talk to them. Ask them. Say, instead of asking them for their number and waiting to make it feel a little more comfortable, if you're on the bus, let's say, and you talk to a woman that's really nice, and you pass by a restaurant or bar or bakery, say, hey, how would you like to stop and have a drink? The bus goes right by here, so when we're done, you can get back on it, but we can have a nice drink and continue the conversation, not in front of 10 other people. So that's, one of the big things is strike while the iron's hot. If you are impressed by somebody, act upon it. Where, you found a new friend, where do you go to spend time with your new friend to get to know them? Some ladies will say, oh, my hotel is here. Don't ever go back to someone else's, a stranger's hotel, for any reason. It's just not a good idea. There are short-term hotels which give you a place to talk to your new friend, but most people end up bringing them back to their hotel. If you're going to do that, a couple of things to do. Whenever you register for your hotel, if you're a solo traveler, always register for 2 people, not just one. That way, there's a thing called a joiner fee, which if you register for one person, they can charge a fee anytime a second person is going to go to your room. And so if you register for 2 people, that never happens. The second thing is, with the hotel, who you bring to the hotel is important. I never had a problem in the 30 days I was at my hotel, but the people that I brought back to the hotel with me were very clean, very pretty. They dressed normally. They didn't draw attention to themselves. Now, sometimes Men will get a woman that almost looks homeless, or they'll be loud because they've been drinking, or they just, because they're so provocatively dressed, they identify themselves in what they do. So anything that brings attention to the person you're bringing to the hotel is not good for the hotel. And so if they give you a bad time about it, it's because of that. It's because if you come in, you say hi, the person that's with you looks like a normal guest, give them her ID, that's it. You go to your room. Most of the hotels will take the lady's ID and then return it to them when they leave. That's a security measure for you. They in some hotels, some of the better hotels, I should say, they will call the room and say, Mr. Johnson, are you okay? So and so is down here getting her ID. Did everything go okay? Yes. Okay, that's fine. And then they'll give them the ID. Some of them just get in the habit of taking the ID and giving it back to them, and it's up to you to let them know if something was wrong. The other thing is, when you're buying services that aren't so established, let's say, from a friend, always ask, when you talk to someone, kind of take a census of what is the average that people are charging. Because one of the things you'll find is whatever the service you're looking for, you talk to one friend and they'll say, oh, whatever, haircut, or whatever. And they'll say it's 1,000 baht. And most people will say it's 1,000 baht. And then you'll talk to this other hair cutter and she'll say it's 5,000 baht or 4,000 baht. It's not that she's, scamming you. It's just capitalism. She's trying to get more money out of you than the average person would get out of you. And so, know what the average cost is for the service that you're buying. When it comes to your friendships in Pattaya on Beach Road, you have to remember that a friendship is a two-sided proposition. There's you have to be attracted to your new friend, but the new friend also has to be attracted to you, at least in some way. If you approach somebody and they smile and they look at you with a little twinkle in their eye, they're interested in you probably more than just the money involvement. But when you come up to someone and they roll their eyes and look away and act like there's somewhere else they'd rather be, a lot of guys, I always say a lot of guys, when it comes to Thailand, they approach women kind of like they did with their first ex-wife, to where they go by all these ladies that are just doing everything they can to get your attention and to impress you and everything else, and smiling and touching your arm and saying, oh, sexy man. And they go to the one woman, she might be the prettiest lady in the place, but the one woman that acts just completely uninterested. And then it's like, I found my next ex-wife. But, you will have a better friendship and experience in your friendship if you find someone who finds you interesting or attractive or whatever, or just is more excited about being there. If she acts like she could care less, she's going to act like she could care less. If your first encounter or experience with her is not favorable, the second one isn't going to be much better. So always keep that in mind.